Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69 and welcome back to the channel. Today we start off a three-part series. It was actually going to just be a one video, but then I thought, you know what, I'm going to make it into three videos. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the top 5 tech tree tanks that you just never see. And then tomorrow we're going to have premium tanks that you never see, and then collectible tanks that you never see. So we're going to start off T37 tier 6. Over 757 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. That is not many at all. And I'm not even looking at the numbers. I thought these were the tanks that I just randomly picked. I looked through Blitz stars at pretty much, I didn't go below tier 5. I went sort of tier 6 and above. And I looked, and there was a couple that straight away I thought, okay, this one's definitely in the list that I never see. And I've actually taken a couple out because there's more sort of rarer tech tree tanks than the ones I originally picked. So the T37 is one of those tanks that you very, very rarely see in battle. And it's surprising that these are tech tree tanks. Anyone can get these tanks, but just no one is playing these tanks. The T37, of course, the American is an American light tank. You can use the auto loader as well, but the single shotgun is a better gun, a better DPM, better penetration, pretty much like that. But yeah, the T37, a tank in tier 6 that you just never see. Another tank in tier 6 that you never see is the Churchill 7. Again, it is a tech tree tank. These are all tech tree tanks, and it's just, you never see this tank. I don't know why. 493 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. That is not a lot at all. I mean, it's a good tank. It really is a good tank. It's a baby Black Prince. It really is a baby Black Prince. Now, there's a couple of things that is disappointing with the tank. It is really slow. The armor is okay. The armor does work when it wants to work. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. You can see we're not really bouncing too much here, but then we're going to get into a position where we do start bouncing. The gun depression isn't great on the tank, and of course it is a really slow tank, and it is unfortunate because when you get to the Black Prince insane DPM. This is good DPM, but the Black Prince has the extra speed boost to make it go really quick for sort of 30 odd seconds, where this doesn't. So that's one thing I am disappointed with this tank. But other than that, it's still a nice tank that you just never see. Now this one is quite funny. The VK30, a tier 7 medium tank. Now, again, this is a tank you never see. 374 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. Now, I ran a few platoons with Fizzy the other day, and he was grinding this line, and the first 3 battles, he aced it. He aced it every game. Some battles were like 1,100 damage. He aced it. He got a bit of assistant damage. So I was on voice a couple of days ago with Batman, and he needed a first class. So I said to him, hey, why don't you go play this tank? It seems like an easy ace. And he was like, well, it better be, because I haven't got the tank, so I'm going to go and buy the tank. And I was like, trust me, it's an easy ace. This was his first battle. This was his first battle after buying the tank. And again, I don't know why this tank doesn't get played. And this is the thing about power creep and everything like that, because this is actually quite a solid tank. I don't think it has too great of penetration, but the upper plate armor for a medium tank in this, it really is quite strong. And you can see Batman's bounced 1,700 damage in a tier 7 medium tank. That is pretty good. But of course, with all the tier 7 tanks out there, the Draculas, all the OP tanks, Type 62s, there's a lot of tanks out there. So because it is tier 7 and it is a medium tank, this isn't a tank people go, you know what, I'm going to run the VK30-02D or whatever it's called because it's a good tank. No, if you've got all these other tanks in your garage, this probably is just going to sit in your garage and collect dust. But if you want an easy ace, guys, go play this tank. Trust me, it's very, very easy ace. Like I said, Fizzy didn't do nothing special, and he aced it 3 games in a row. Not even 1,000 XP. It was like 900 base XP, and he managed to get the ace. And you can see there, Batman is still bouncing 1,950 damage. Fair enough. doesn't matter what tank you are in tier 7, most tanks you would drive medium wise, as long as they're not OP, this would have probably been an ace anyway. He did really well. Nice damage, 5 kills, 2.1 blocked damage, and he ends on 3k damage, and of course he does get the ace. So the VK, again, VK3002D is another tech tree tank that you just never see in battle. But I'd like people to start playing these tanks. I'd like maybe Wargaming to have a look at these tanks. Like, these are tech tree tanks. Stop paying too much attention on premium tanks. Maybe rework the tech tree tanks. Make people play them, not just to grind. And this is another one. This is the WZ113GFT, the tier 10 tank destroyer. Now, 992 people have played this in the last 90 days. Going by what we've just seen, like sort of 400, 500 people, you'd think that's quite a lot. No, for a tier 10, 992 is not a lot. It is pretty much the least played tier 10. Put this against a Badger. So this is 990 people playing it in the last 90 days. The Badger, a premium tank, it hasn't been for sale that often. That has 1,300 people play it in the last 90 days. So it's lower than a premium tank. A premium tank that doesn't come for sale that often. Less people are playing this than they are that. Take a look at the Death Star. 17,000. 17,000 people have played it in the last 90 days. The Object 263. Again, another tank that a lot of people don't really play now. That's well over 2,000 people are playing that in the last 90 days. This tank, no one's playing it. And it's a shame, because I love this tank. This is a very, very solid tank. People compare this to the Object 268. Of course, the Object 268 will beat this hands down. It's got better speed, probably around about the same armor-ish. You can bounce shots on both tanks. Both tanks are really, really good though, and I absolutely, like I said, I adore this tank. I really do like this tank. It's one of my highest average damage tanks in tier 10, in fact. So this is another tank that just people are not playing. Now the last thing on my list, it is the T20, the American medium tank. Now, I've actually took this footage from about 4 years ago on my YouTube channel, where I got pretty much the Hall of Fame. So I just downloaded it. I thought this would be a good battle to show that this tank is actually a good tank, played correctly. It's got no armor. It's got a nice gun depression, nice speed. Only 572 people are playing this tank in the last 90 days, which again is not a lot. So I'd like to see Wargaming do something, rework the tech tree somehow, maybe buff the tanks that are just not being played. They're not being played for a reason. Surely they need to look at that and think, why are people not playing these tanks? Surely they don't want people to only play these tanks when they're grinding. And once they've done that, then they don't play it ever again. You look at tanks like the Black Prince, the Tiger P. People play these tanks even though they've got the next tier. They just fancy playing tier 6, 7, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to play that. And it's good. I like that, because they're not just sitting there thinking, okay, let's go and play tier 7 just to spam premium tanks, Smashers, Annihilators, Draculas, Hellsins. No, they're going to play Tigers, and they're going to play Tiger Ps, and they're going to play Black Princes. And I'd like that to be extended. Like, you know what, I'm going to roll out in the T20, or I'm going to roll out in the VK30. Like, I definitely think Wargaming should do something with these tech tree tanks, make them more appealing, buff them somehow. I mean, I don't think they need buffing. I think it's just power crept, and they just need maybe buffing just so people start playing them. But you know, this game, I really enjoyed this game and the only reason I'm putting it, because I thought this was a fantastic game. It was I think it was number 2 in the Hall of Fame at the time, and this was, like I said, I wasn't really a big YouTuber. I don't even think I had 1,000 subs back then. My views on this video was probably like 1,000, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it in there. I did very well. I do spam a bit of pramo. I do admit I do spam a bit of pramo. But a lot of that was, you know what, I could win this. I don't want to bounce anything. And to be honest, I forgot. I think I forgot that I was actually using APCR. And if you look now, I've got 15 APCR and 15 AP. I actually run out of APCR. So that's how many shots I'm actually going to fire. Now, I was on my own 1 versus 5 or 2 versus 5, but my heavy tank on my team is actually AFK. And he stays AFK until the last literally last seconds of the game. So I'm pretty much on my own in a T20, a tank with no armor. The DPM's okay in the thing. It's nothing bad. It's nothing good. It's decent. It's average. It's average. But again, it is a tank that I would just love for people to start rolling out more. Again, it doesn't have no armor. It has the speed. It has the gun depression. The penetration is okay. But I'd love for Wargaming maybe to just buff it. But they're buffing silly tanks. Let's get it straight. Like, they're buffing Panzer IVs. They're buffing Hellcats. Tanks that are already good. Like, tanks people are already playing. Just buff the freaking tanks that no one are playing. Like, make them more appealing. I don't know. I just don't understand why they're not doing it. I really don't understand why they're not doing it. Of course, it has to be money. Like, they might not want to buff these tanks, because if you buff, say, this tank, then why would you roll out in not a smasher, but why would you roll out in a premium medium tank in tier 7? Because you have the tech tree version that is much better. So maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe it's a money thing. But I mean, they should still buff them. I don't care. I don't care if it's money related. They should still buff them, because just get rid of them. Otherwise, just freaking get rid of them. If you don't want no one to play these tanks, man, just get rid of them. Like, what's the point of playing them? Just to grind and then never to play it, never to be played again. So that's my opinion anyway. It won't change. Wargaming are not going to change it just because I say. But hopefully you guys do. I mean, these tanks, all these tanks that I've showed today are actually good tanks, and they do deserve a bit of love. Out of the 5 I've shown you today, probably I'd say the Churchill 7's the worst, but all the others are actually really good tanks. They deserve to be played, and hopefully they do get a bit more players playing them. So that is my top 5 tech tree tanks that you just never see. Tomorrow I'm going to do the top 5 premium tanks that you never see, and then the day after I'm going to do the top 5 collectible tanks that you never see. So nice game there to end it. 5k or almost 5,100 damage, which is pretty good for me in a tier 7 tank. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye. With